Creative Katie, Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel. Today we have a toucan tutorial, an art journal tutorial from the What Comes Next Break the Blank Page series. So this page was broken by applying paint with a key card or palette knife. And here is that page when I just broke it. It has blue and yellow green. Now I wanted to use these adorable toucans from Elena Zinski Art. This is a digital stamp, and there's the link to Elena's Etsy store in the description box if you want to go check it out. Now the great thing about digital stamps is that you can alter them to fit what you're doing. You can flip the image so it's looking left or right. You can size them. You can make them smaller. You can make them bigger. And you can make it fit anything from an ATC to a 9 by 12 or bigger. As I showed you before, this page was broken by applying paint with a palette knife or a key card, and they're blues and greens, and I chose it because going with the toucans, I want to go tropical. I grabbed this tropical fronds stencil from the Crafters Workshop, and I thought if I go on here, would this work for the background? I wanted to see the exact size of the toucans that I selected. So I'm cutting off the excess so I get a better idea of how this is going to fit on my background. At this point, I'm not sure if I want to use one toucan or two or more on this. It's a little bigger than a 5 by 7. So I'm not doing a perfect cut, but I'm getting most of the excess done just so I can figure things out in the way of composition. So I like having one toucan higher up than the other one. And then my plan is to do some stenciling in the background. Now to stencil this, I want it to look lush and tropical. So I've taken a variety of colors. I've got Prussian blue, cadmium yellow, neon green, hooker's green on my palette, and I'm mixing them on the makeup sponge and then stenciling them. I want some of these to be darker, some of them to be lighter, and the background that I have there from the palette knife application is like the sky and other green plants in the background. So I'm just taking this one stencil and I'm layering it, and I'm moving it around and changing the composition. Because remember, you don't have to just stencil it, use a stencil in the exact way that the artist created it. And I keep taking my focal images from the digital stamp and putting it back on so I see what it looks like. And as I'm going, I'm figuring out what I'm going to do on this page. I want it to look lush and tropical. The neon that I've used really bumps this up and brightens the page. And these neon paints from Artist Loft, I did a page several days ago, and I am sure that it is getting more neon and brighter as it completely cures. So I'm layering it up. I'm making some of the fronds the plants be taller. I'm mixing the paints, and there you're getting all those variations in color, green and blue and yellow, and then when I go one on top of the other, you're getting that layered look. So I'm fairly happy with my background. I'm not sure I'm done now yet, but I want to figure out the sentiment and where I'm going to put it. So I grab my quotes binder. This is where all my sentiments are. And I go to my Pet Talk sentiment pack. This is available at NinnysNapkins. There's a link in the description box. I only look up to you because I'm short. Now, these ones are black letters on a white background and white letters on a black background. And while some of them are usable only for cats and dogs, some of them are usable for other animals or people, kind of tongue in cheek. So now that I have that decided, I want to add a few more fronds because I've decided I'm going to put the sentiment kind of down through the middle and not in the top right hand corner. And I chose the sentiment, sorry I'm late, I didn't want to come. And instead of leaving it in a rectangle the way that have it in the kit, in the pack, I'm cutting it apart. This gets rid of the excess white and allows me to play with the orientation. And I'm going to start underneath the top toucan and kind of curl it to the other one. And that's going to help your eye go down the page. Once I get something I like, I grab my phone and I take a picture so I remember. Now in this case, I decided I'm not taking everything off. I'm done the background, so I'm just going to use my fluid matte medium from Liquitex and glue down all the elements. I love where they're at. I like how the sentiment flows from one toucan to the other. And I'm thinking, I don't mind this black and white with that colorful background. I could just leave everything as it is. Now, before you glue things down, make sure everything in that background is dry. Now I'm going to colorize the digital stamps, and I'm painting on, this is cadmium yellow, then I add some yellow oxide and some orange. I like mixing colors when they're wet. That gives you more variation and more interest in the color than if you just choose one color, it's very flat. And I'm starting with coloring what I know I'm going to do, what color, and then I'm figuring it out as I go. Do I want the tail? Do I want the feet to be yellow? Do I want that to be orange? What do I want to be black? Now remember, these are cartoon toucans, so pretty much anything goes. I could go with any color, but I've chosen to pretty much stay in the yellows and oranges because that orange is across from the green and blue that I have in the background. And I know with the black and white, that's really going to pop on the page. So I'm keeping this fairly simple and minimizing the colors that I'm using. I'm using a small angle brush to spread the acrylic paint. Now, I can paint around that heart, and normally I am kind of a heart person, but I decide for this purpose I'm going to just paint it black. I'm going to get rid of it. So you can edit. I could take off that top hat. I could make the top hat bigger. You can take anyone's art, a magazine picture, a stamp, a digistamp, and alter it to fit what you want. Now, some of this I had white on there when I didn't cut it out perfectly right on the line, and I'm just painting that some of the background color, bluish green. Now I'm using the floating acrylic technique and I'm edging the page. If you've watched my videos, you see me doing this pretty much on every project. To me, a page isn't done until it's edged, until it's shaded. I'm outlining my sentiment with my black Posca pen. Makes it stand out. And then I decide to outline the toucan. Make those black lines bolder. Remember, everything is dry. I'm straightening the edges. And I like how this pops. Normally, I'm not a person who outlines a whole lot, but I'm liking the look. You see the wings? I haven't really decided what I want to do in the way of colorizing that, which is why I'm doing everything else. And I'm trying to figure it out. I decided that I'm going to leave the wing white and I'm going to paint the details. So I'm using the orange and yellow that I had on my palette, a little more orange, and I'm painting the flowers and those circles. Now I'm taking my stylus and I'm dotting the center of these flowers with black, building up that contrast. Black and white always adds contrast to your project, to your page. Just make sure you give it time to dry because it stays wet because it's bound to paint. Now I want to shade whatever is orange and I'm using a red. This one was from Artist Loft, but I could use alizarin crimson. This just really bumps up your focal image. I really love these toucans. I took some of the orange and I'm thinning it down using my fan brush and I'm just going to splatter it with orange just to introduce a little bit of that orange into the background. Almost done, but I decide that I'm going to put a line around the edge of the page just to frame it a little extra. And I'm using my Posca pen again. And there we have it, the finished page. One stencil, one digital stamp, one sentiment, one quick page. So this started when I applied paint using a key card. And this is something you can do when you have leftover paint. Grab an empty page and do it. I use the digital download for the focal image, and I resized it to fit my page. I also flipped the two cans so that they would be looking at each other. I used one stencil, this tropical fronds stencil, and I layered with different colors to get that lush tropical background. The background uses an analogous color scheme. Those are colors that are next to each other on a color wheel. I colorized my digital focal image using complementary colors. Those are colors that are across from each other. I also made use of black and white. That's why this page pops so much. It uses the orange and red that are across from the blues and greens, complementary, and the black and white contrast. And that's a winning combination. I selected a sentiment from my Pet Talk sentiment pack. I shaded the focal image and edged the page using the floating acrylic technique. I outlined the digital stamp and the page using my black Posca pen. And I splattered the whole page with orange. Thank you so much for joining me. Check out other videos on my YouTube channel. Look for the playlists. They're organized to help you find things faster. Until next time, go get creative.